Welcome to the Be Better podcast, an initiative of the University of the Free State Organizational Development and Employee Wellbeing Division. Here you will find inspiration to be better at your job, with others, and most importantly, with yourself. You will hear new things, old things, and hopefully experience that moment of clarity that you've been waiting for. So, listen on.
I'm Bernadine Kars from the Organizational Development and Employee Wellbeing Division, and I'm delighted to have a very special guest with me today, Mr. Yusuf Abramjee. He's not just an ordinary guest, but he's a remarkable social activist and advocate for social cohesion. With a background as a former journalist and an editor, Yusuf has been honored with numerous media and leadership awards throughout his career. Yusuf, welcome to our podcast. And thank you for being a part of our Be Better, Be Safe initiative here on the Bloemfontein campus at the University of the Free State. It's truly an honor to have you here, and I can't think of a more fitting guest speaker for this campaign.
Thank you very much. It's great coming to Bloemfontein and being on your lovely campus, and thank you for the invitation and being part of this excellent Be Safe campaign that you hosted over 2 days.
So let's just dive right in. Can you share a bit about your journey and how you transitioned from a career in journalism to becoming a prominent social activist and an advocate for social cohesion?
Well, I grew up in Pretoria, in Lady Selborne, and my family, my father was forcefully removed under the Group Areas Act from the business that he had, and the bulldozers came and eventually we were driven out to Laudium. And that's where I did my schooling. Believe it or not, while in school, I happened to be the editor of the school newspaper. I won't tell you how many years ago it was. It will give my age away, but it won the first prize in a national competition run by the then Rand Daily Mail newspaper. And I always wanted to be a journalist. In fact, while at school, I was a freelancer for the SABC, for then SAPA. And then after I matriculated, believe it or not, I became a teacher. Ask me why? Simply because the teachers training facility, the then Transvaal College of Education, was up the road. And becoming a journalist was quite a mission, because at the time, during the apartheid years, only certain institutions were offering it for people of color, which meant that I had to go to Durban, and I wasn't keen. So I became a teacher specializing in English and Afrikaans. And I taught Afrikaans for a year at the same school where I matriculated.
Wow. So
my former teachers and my headmasters were now suddenly my colleagues, but up to today I still call them sir and madam.
Okay.
I taught Afrikaans for a year, standard 7. And after a year I was fed up with teaching, because the principal at the time, the late Mr. Musa, gave me standard 7 Afrikaans, which meant at the time that I had to repeat the lesson 7 times a day to 7 different classes. And then I joined the media fraternity on a broader scale. I was a spokesperson for the Department of Education then. And a year or two later, I ended up at the SABC in Cape Town at Parliament as a sub-editor, moved to Johannesburg as a sub-editor at television. Fast forward, I started a community newspaper in Laudium, which I eventually sold. And then I was a freelancer for South Africa's only independent radio station, 702, where I then worked for about 25 years before leaving them about 8 or 9 years ago. I was a freelancer. I became a full-time reporter. I became a crime reporter, became a crime editor, became the news editor, became the station manager of 702, and eventually I became the group head of news and programming for all 4 radio stations, namely Cape Talk, KFM, 702, and 94.7 Highveld. Yeah, so it's been a long road over the years, but media has been very close to my heart.
Great.
And reporting on crime is something that I've done over many years with passion.
What an interesting journey. And I think that's why I said we are really privileged to have you here, especially someone that's got such a vast experience in terms of where you're coming from. So when I read about your career progress, it sounded like the move towards crime reporting was almost organic. Was it a conscious decision from your side to focus on crime reporting, or is there another story behind it?
When I was at 702, I was based in Pretoria. I was the only reporter, and the cops happened to be my best friends. So 9 out of 10 times I'll get tip-offs from my police friends, and I'll be at the scene sometimes even before the cops arrive.
Wow.
And break the story. So whether it was cash in transit robberies, whether it was police operations, you would find me at every crime scene. When Minatoria went up in flames, I was one of the first journalists at the scene, the council building. When the high-rise agricultural union building went up in flames and people were airlifted from the top, I was there for many, many hours. So I think crime and disaster reporting was very close to my heart over the years. And at the time, crime fast developed into a national issue. Probably today we are very much worse off with crime. So a lot of my focus was on crime reporting. At the same time, I focus a lot of my work around court reporting. So you remember the likes of Dr. Wouter Basson, who was charged for multiple charges. I covered his trial. I covered the trial of South Africa's then dubbed Cash Ice Kingpin Colin Chauke, when he escaped, when he was recaptured, while he was on the run, when he phoned us and gave us an exclusive interview. I even got the famous words out of him outside court to say, I feel good, that made headlines, that won me a number of awards.
Wow.
I covered the trial of Ferdy Barnard, you might remember, the former apartheid operative that was convicted. So I think that is where it all began. And when I became crime editor for 702 in the Prime Media Group, that focus continued. So fighting crime, making a difference was always close to my heart. And after I left Prime Media some 8, 9, 10 years ago now, almost, believe it or not, I decided to focus all my energy in the fight against crime. I have a non-profit organization called Make South Africa Safe. I'm the founder of an initiative called Tax Justice South Africa, and we focus largely on the illicit trade. These criminals who are robbing our country of billions of rands annually through the illicit cigarettes, alcohol, illicit pharmaceutical products, and counterfeit goods. And about 7 years ago, E-Media came to me and said, we'd like to offer you a weekly show on television called Crime Watch. And we've been running it over many years. And believe it or not, people are hooked onto crime. And as much as it's negative, we try to be positive. We try to come up with solutions. We try to highlight what you can do to keep yourself and your family safe. And all these real crime videos that you see. You know, Robert Marawa said the other day, if I didn't see Yusuf Abramjee's videos, I wouldn't have known what to do when they tried to rob me. So hopefully if we can help somebody and create a safer South Africa, we'll be going a long way to create some awareness.
That's so true what you say. I think all of us need to take collective responsibility, and when we know what to do in such situations, it can quite be helpful.
And that is why, I mean, I'm delighted that the university has taken the initiative and you launched the Be Safe campaign. And listening to your students and your academics and your vice chancellor and your deputy vice chancellor, it's good to see that we are giving policing and crime and safety the attention it deserves. No one is immune from crime. We all fall victims. If we haven't fallen victim, you're lucky, but somebody very close to you has fallen victim. And campus security is so close to my heart. I've been invited to a number of universities previously to come and engage students. And as I leave Bloemfontein today, I'm leaving with a good feeling because many of the ideas that came out here today, for example, including the Vice Chancellor, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Professor Naidu's suggestion that 10,000 whistles be given to students, including the engagement that we had with the police, including the one suggestion that we have a student community police forum. Students raised all the issues. And again, you know, I will repeat what I said at the forum today. We have very good police officials in South Africa and we have bad ones, but we need to hold the police to account. I'm happy to hear that students on campus are safe. Very few of them complained about safety. But the minute you leave the gates of this campus, you are prone to become a victim of either a mugging or a robbery or a kidnapping, God forbid. And that is why it's important that we engage all the role players to create a safer city, a safer province, and a safer South Africa.
You've been instrumental in the establishment of a crime line. What were your expectations of this initiative, and did it pay off?
Well, we know that people are very scared to pass on information to the police. At the time when we launched it, there was only the crime stop number 08600 10111. And out of the blue, people called 702 on air and said, we know where this particular person is selling drugs and so on. And we put it to the test. And within an hour or two, we received a few hundred tip-offs about drug dealers in Johannesburg and Pretoria. We then engaged the police leadership. They responded to every tip-off. It was anonymous via SMS. And then at the time, there was no technology for people to SMS tip-offs anonymously, believe it or not. How far a long way we've now come. Yeah. So we launched a crime line in partnership with the South African Police Service and the Prime Media Group. And over the years, thanks to members of the public and the awareness, tens of thousands of criminals were arrested, millions and millions of rands of seizures were made. So the information came to us. The public regard us as independent, and we are independent. We protect the whistleblowers. We give the information to the police, and we ask them to act. And then subsequently, I got involved on the international scale. I'm currently the first vice president of Crime Stoppers International. It's a global body involved in anonymous tip-offs. And throughout the world, we pride ourselves on encouraging communities to blow the whistle on crime. And a few years ago, we hosted a very successful international conference for the first time on the African continent in Cape Town. And we had delegates from across the world. And really, I think the point I made again today was that someone, somewhere, somehow knows who's involved in crime. Make it your moral duty, make it your civic duty to blow the whistle on crime. And giving an anonymous tip-off so that people don't have any repercussions is critical to get these criminals arrested. So when you make a tip-off to Crime Stop, remember, or the My SAPS app, who, what, when, where, why, and how. Give detailed information, and let's get the criminals arrested. These criminals are within our communities. They're within our families. They might be within our student population. And we can't protect these criminals, whether they're involved in drug dealing, whether they're CIT robbers, whether they are involved in cyber crime or fraud, whether they are involved in other serious crimes like kidnappings or murders. Let's not protect them. They might be our friends, but we must get them arrested and put them behind bars.
Oh, that's true what you say. I think that if we all stand up, that we cannot just look at the police or at the university or whosoever, but we need to take responsibility as well. So it seems that despite the initiatives that you just mentioned, like the crime line, crime remains a prevalent issue in our society. Every time I open my news feeds, you will read about crime and crime and crime, and it just continues. It's a source of constant anxiety for me, but I believe for many others. So why do you think we're not seeing a decline in crime rates?
Well, let me say, first of all, I don't have to tell you about how big a crime problem we have. The figures speak for themselves, and it's possibly even higher. The official numbers show that an average of 80 people get murdered each and every day. The official figures show that a woman gets raped or a few women gets raped every 30 minutes. Hundreds of hijackings, an average of 42 kidnappings in different forms every day. The list goes on and on and on. Blood, bodies, and bullets has sadly become a way of life, and no one is immune to it. Is there a quick fix solution? I don't think so. Is there the political will? I don't think so. We know the police service is rooted with problems, low morale, corruption, criminality, but at the same time, we have many hardworking and efficient and effective policemen that risk their lives in the line of duty. And those are the cops we must support. And we know that the public confidence in the police is very low. South Africans live in fear. When you go out, you have to watch your back.
That's true.
You know that we live behind high walls. Many of us live with electric fences and burglar bars and alarms and cameras because these criminals are running amok. They are clearly running amok. It's organized crime. A report by the Global Initiative showed that South Africa has now become a mafia state in different forms. We probably have one of the three highest crime rates on the continent, DRC, Nigeria, and South Africa. And you can imagine what it does to the economy, to investment, to tourism. Can we sit back and put up our arms and say that we are giving up? We can't. We can't pack our bags and leave. It's our country. But really, the government must get its act together. What you see, I report on social media, whether it's on Twitter or Facebook or on television, is only a small fraction of what we go through. We see all these viral videos. It's really a source of concern. And really, I think if one looks at the levels of gender-based violence, of other crimes, really we have a serious problem. The criminal justice system on its own is a problem. The long waiting times for cases to become before a court of law. I was a victim of a house invasion some 10 years ago. The two suspects are still on trial in Pretoria 10 years later, believe it or not. The one got bail, he was rearrested. The other one got bail, he was rearrested, committing more crime again.
Wow.
So we really have a serious problem. What needs to be done? I think there's, as I mentioned, no quick fix solution. There needs to be a multifaceted approach to fighting crime. We need community involvement. We need more police on the ground. We need more police visibility. We need accountability. And we as communities have to join hands with the police to see how we can create a safer South Africa. Blow the whistle on crime. We have to do something, because at this rate, if we don't tackle the crime problem in South Africa, coupled with corruption, we're going to be in deep trouble, unfortunately.
Wow. I like what you said, that there's a saying that goes, that charity starts at home. And I think that is where we have to look and take the responsibility, like you emphasized, to really make South Africa a safe place for all of us and for the generations to come.
Indeed. And, our young people especially, we must ask them to take the lead. Get involved in your local community police forum. I was delighted to hear at the Be Safe Forum, one student representative making a proposal that we start a student community police forum liaison body, which is excellent. Students need to get involved. And my appeal to the students who are listening today is get involved. Even the academic community, and I'm happy that Professor Naidu mentioned it, we need to get them more involved in the fight against crime. I mean, I must pay tribute to your protection services division here. They're doing a great job. They're investing millions of rands to protect your students. But the minute we go outside the campus, we're back to square one. There's a problem outside. So there needs to be a multifaceted approach to fighting the crime scourge. And let's be honest about it. Students at all universities are being targeted. I was the other day outside Takis in Pretoria, where students' cell phones are being grabbed by the dozen every month outside the campus. So you can't even walk in the street. They grab your cell phone, they drive off. In Potchefstroom, outside the campus, similar problem. So as much as we can fight crime within our campuses, there needs to be, the police really need to get their act together and make sure that they do their bit to protect our communities on a broader scale outside our university campuses.
Wow. I agree. Now, you've been in the front lines witnessing the harsh realities of crime. In the midst of all the challenges, can you share any positive stories or examples of good that you've seen during these scenes? And what message of hope can you leave our listeners with today?
Well, as much as I condemn the police, the criminal ones, the crooked ones, the corrupt ones, there are many hardworking and dedicated cops. Let's not forget, the other day in Limpopo, in Makado, 19 suspected CIT robbers were shot dead. One policeman was shot, and the shooting lasted for about 90 minutes. The police constantly come under attack. That poor Hawks officer, his leg had to be amputated. So his whole life has changed. Over a 3-month or 4-month period, 34 cops were killed in the line of duty. So let's pay tribute to our many hardworking, efficient police officials, those that wake up in the morning to go out and protect us, risking their own lives, leaving their families. And you can imagine being a family member of a cop with the high levels of crime and the shooting. These people are very, very desperate out there. Having said that, there's a lot of good work being done by the police, making arrests, getting convictions. The problem is with the corrupt ones. We need to get rid of them. And that is why I say, despite all the negativity, despite the finger pointing, despite all the criticism, I think some work is going in under very difficult circumstances. But again, we need a political will to come with a solution. When you ask about good stories, every day we see some criminals getting life jail terms, some getting 5 life jail terms. That is as a result of the hard work of policemen on the ground and police women on the ground. And I think we need to pay tribute to them. But again, we as communities, we as civilians must get involved. We can't just say we are fed up with crime. It's the police's job. It's the government's job.
True.
Yes, we have to hold the government to account. Yes, we can point fingers at them. And that is why the National Development Plan of the government, which must become a reality after all the years, talks of active citizenry. Become an active citizen. Play your part. Join your local WhatsApp group in your community. Speak to your neighbors. Know your neighbors. Support your CPF. I often say, even if you don't have time to go for a meeting, the least you can do on a cold winter morning is to take a mug or a jug of coffee to your local police station, just to support them, to show them that we appreciate what the good cops are doing. So I think we all have a role to play. You know, when I read or I see a story that a woman gets a breakdown or a puncture along a deserted road, and the cops stop and they change the wheel, they change the tire, that makes you feel good. And make you feel to be a proud South African, to see that there are people that care. And you know, we as South Africans are care-loving people. We want to make a difference. We want to help. And I was involved in a number of humanitarian efforts over the years, raising money during the Knysna floods. We assisted the people of Aleppo in Syria when the invasion took place. We assisted many other projects over the years during the water campaign in Cape Town. I can't say that we're going to depend on government. If we're going to depend on government, like Gift of the Givers often say, we're going to wait forever. We must take the lead and see how we can make a difference and how we can help communities in need, whether it's crime, whether it's poverty, whether it's education, whether it's unemployment. We all have a role to play.
Wow. Thank you so much, Yusuf, for sharing your time and also the insights that you share with us today. You're not only involved in crime, like you mentioned, but you're really trying to make a difference in wherever you can, in whatever is possible.
I hope to return one day to the University of the Free State for an honorary doctorate. No, I'm just joking. But I think it's important that we mobilize our communities.
Yeah, that's true.
And really, you know, and I'm sure our students are also listening to this podcast, is to say to them, get involved. Forget about just keep on protesting. Yes, you can protest if you're democratic right, but don't damage. Don't burn, don't loot, don't smash windows, because what you are doing through acts of violence, which we've seen at some institutions, you're throwing your future away. I've always said, and I will repeat it, we know crime is a problem, corruption is a problem. There are 3 priorities for us to take South Africa forward, and in no particular order. Priority number 1 is education. Priority number 2 is education. And priority number 3 is education. If we have an educated nation, and that's exactly what you guys do day in and day out, is to pride ourselves to educate our young men and women, we'll be able to take South Africa forward. We need to put all our energy in educating our nation and making sure that we fight the scourge of injustice at every turn.
Wow. Great. Thank you for that valuable lesson that you shared with us today, and also to our listeners. I think we can really take something that we can apply to us as well. So before we wrap up, if our listeners want to get in touch with you, or they want to follow your work that you are doing, because you're doing a great job and excellent work, where can they find more information, if you can just share with us?
Let me punt my Crime Watch show on ETV and ENCA. It's a weekly show on ETV at 6:30 on a Sunday evening, and on ENCA, which is on DSTV channel 403 at 7:30. I'm very active on social media. You can follow me on Twitter at Abramjee, ABRAMJEE. Don't get too depressed. You might only find crime and negative news, but unfortunately, there's a reality. You're welcome to send me a direct message and engage me on social media. I'm also very active on Facebook, on TikTok, and on Instagram. I might not have the chance to respond to every question or comment, but you're welcome to contact me on any of those social media platforms. And again, you know, the BSEF campaign will be featured on Crime Watch over the next few weeks, because I believe initiatives like these are critical in engaging all our stakeholders and partners, engaging our university campuses. And I hope that other universities throughout South Africa will take the lead from you and really follow what you started here at the University of the Free State.
Right. Thank you. There you have it, listeners. Yusuf Abramjee's impactful insights and the work he does are truly inspiring. If you are interested in watching his program, as he said, channel 403 DSTV, you can follow me on Twitter, social media. He's quite active. And he also invited you to send him a personal message. He will not maybe always respond, but he will definitely get your info. And for campus community right here in Bloemfontein on the Kwakwa campus as well as the South campus, don't forget to reach out to our dedicated protection services. They are doing a sterling job in keeping our campus community safe day in and day out. So remember, As Yusuf said, safety is a shared responsibility and it starts with each one of us. So let us join hands and work together to make not only our campus, but also our beloved South Africa a safer place for everyone. Together we can make a difference. So thank you for tuning in, and until next time, stay safe, stay vigilant, and take care. Any last words from you, Yusuf?
Stay alert and stay safe. That's
Great.
the golden rule. Know your surroundings and fight crime at every turn.